Episode 20 begins at the high school's film festival. Everybody's there. Eli, Sakura, Lee, Madison, and also Tori and his best friend Julian. And let's not forget Ruby. She's there too. Now remember, it was Ruby who did the movie in the last episode at Eli's house. And now she's showing it to the class. So the film premiere continues the way it's planned until Sakura recognizes the scene that's so familiar to her. And why not? Because remember in the last episode, Tori had to confront with Julian at Eli's house. Also remember in the last episode, since Tori has given his powers away to Yue so he can keep his best friend, he's been lately so tired. So Julian made a confession of what Yue said. He said that since his memories went blank, Julian's that is, and just up until now it's all been a lie. In omission by confession, Julian said that it happened while he was transformed. But Tori dismissed that claim of what Julian said, and then he said, "You or not, you're still my best friend, and you're your own person." Then, in omission by confession, that's when Tori told Julian that he considers him that, and of course, the best he ever had. That's why, according to Tori in his case, Julian can be trusted. And especially Yue, because he'll do what it takes to protect his sister, Sakura. Having said that, that's when Julian closes his eyes, nodded, and says thank you to Tori, his best friend. So now that the movie premiere was over, everybody left the classroom. In the hallway, we have Sakura walking with her best friend Madison. So as Sakura and Madison were continuing to walk down the hallway, that's when the boys, Lee and Eli, approached them. And Eli made a compliment to Sakura how good of a job she did. And of course, Sakura appreciates it, and so she said thank you. Now, Madison has her turn to plead her case that someday she may direct a movie. That's not a bad idea. So long story short, after Madison made a compliment to Sakura that her brother has a lot of friends and so's her best friend, and including Sakura herself, that's when Sakura smiled at her best friend. And Sakura looked at her brother Tori and his best friend Julian. And you can tell that Tori's still a little tired. According to Sakura, she has a thought in her mind. The reason why her brother is so tired all the time is because in the last episode, since Julian's been rescued, Tori won't be able to sense anything anymore since he gave his powers away to Yue. And Yue had warned Tori about this in the last episode. So even though Sakura is worried and concerned about her brother, she hopes that he's going to be okay soon. So back with Julian and Tori, a couple of classmates just made a compliment with Julian to say that the movie's great. And of course, Julian said thanks. So long story short, despite a minor collapse from Tori, but he's otherwise fine, that's when Julian suggested to wait for the boys and the girls to see how the movie turned out, and so Sakura agrees. Meanwhile, outside, long story short, that's when Julian and Tori didn't hesitate to serve drinks for the girls, Madison and Sakura, and the boys, Lee and Eli. So after that, both Tori and Julian sat down with Sakura, Madison, Lee, and Eli. So Julian wanted to know from Sakura if she liked the movie that she's seen. As a matter of fact, I do, Sakura said to Julian. So Julian made a compliment with Sakura that since she did so well, she'll take the drama class when she gets older, just like Sakura's brother Tori and Julian did. You think so? Sakura asked. Of course, Julian said. Then Julian made a suggestion. Since neither the boys and the girls have been to the excavation before, Julian should give them a tour. And of course, that's a good idea. Before Tori can head off, he assures Julian that he's going to be fine walking home. And so after that, he heads off. So long story short, back with Julian and the kids, that's when Sakura was asking Eli if he can tag along. Eli said that he will, but he needs things to take care of first. So before Eli can head off, he agrees to see the girls at the school the following day, and then passed by Lee and then gave him some advice. If I were you, I would be careful. And then he heads off. After Eli heads off, Lee knows there's something off with him, and Sakura wanted to know what's going on. What's wrong? Well, at first Lee was going to explain to her, but then he soon dismissed it. He told Sakura it was nothing. So then, back with Julian, he said to Sakura, Madison, and Lee, "What do you say we get going?" "Okay," Sakura said, and so they head off. Long story short, everything was going well and everyone is having fun. Meanwhile, Sakura, Julian, Madison, and Lee had arrived at the Path of the Stars exhibit. Up until now, Sakura, Madison, and Lee has never seen an exhibit like this before, and of course Julian confessed that he and his classmates had did it, and asked Sakura if she would like to go inside, and so Sakura agrees. Then suddenly Ruby runs out. The first thing she did was to hug Sakura. Then Ruby was looking around and has no idea that Tori's been missing. So she says, "Wait a minute, where did Tori go?" So Julian went first to speak in this case. He said that since Tori's so tired, he had to walk home, he said. Then Ruby, after she was aware of this news, she says, "Gee, poor guy." So after Ruby had pleaded her case to say Tori should have known better, and she agrees to take two of the customers at a time inside of the Path of the Stars exhibit. So Ruby agrees to let in Julian and Sakura, and then she'll let in Madison and Lee a little bit later. So after that, Julian and Sakura were first to go inside the Path of the Stars exhibit. So as Sakura and Julian went inside the Path of the Stars exhibit, you can tell that Sakura is in awe. She has never seen an exhibit just like it before. If that's not fascinating enough, what Sakura saw next really blew her away. There were constellations of the stars on the wall. Now that is interesting. Then flashback, you remember in the last episode when it was late at night when Sakura was looking out the window and saw some stars in the sky. She had this thought in her mind of what Cloud Reed had told her recently, that the star itself may be small, but it'll always light her way. Then back to the present in the Path of the Stars exhibit. Julian, on the other hand, wants to know what's going on with her. Then he said, "You can tell me whatever you want, if you like." So Sakura made a confession to Julian that she likes him very much. Although Julian agrees that he likes her too, but the person that she likes the most is Yue. Also, she confessed that she was worried about her brother and wonders if he's going to be okay. Although Julian agrees with her, but then said that since Yue has gained his full strength, he could protect her now, and so will Yue. Now, what Sakura wanted to know from Julian if Tori's going to be better soon. Well, Julian said that he will. Luckily, he'll feel better in a few days, Julian said. So after Julian assures Sakura that there's nothing to worry about, but Sakura pleads her case to say that somehow or other it was all her fault for not saving Julian sooner and to let Yue take Tori's powers. So Julian pleads his case to say that she shouldn't blame herself. Then Julian says, "Listen to me. All your brother Tori wants is to make sure that you're safe," he said. Then Sakura asked Julian a question. "Is it true that you knew about Yue and the cards too?" So Julian not only said that he did, but even better, he said that it'll be easier now for Yue to protect both the cards and Sakura as well. So after Julian pleads his case with Sakura that she can call on Yue anytime she wants, so she said, "I think it's a good idea to summon him right now," because according to Sakura, she felt something really weird. But before she can explain it to Julian, little didn't Sakura know she was soon proven right. And wouldn't you know it, there are glass stars that are breaking everywhere in the exhibit. Back outside the exhibit were Lee and Madison. Lee too sensed something weird and is coming from inside of the exhibit. So, when Madison suggested that both Sakura and Julian would need help, even though Lee agrees, so he told Madison to stay behind while he goes inside to find out what happened. But Madison doesn't even notice that Ruby was right behind her, and she thinks in her case that everything went according to plan. Back inside the exhibit were Sakura and, of course, Yue, who had just transformed into Julian earlier. Well, Yue tries to shield Sakura the best way that he knew how with his wings against all the glass doors that were breaking everywhere in the exhibit. Long story short, after Yue had told Sakura he must have sensed Cloud somehow, but Sakura said it's impossible, then asked the question, wasn't Cloud supposed to have been dead? So even though Yue agrees, and then Sakura suggests there must be a way to get to the bottom of it somehow. So she knows what to do by first transforming a star key into a star staff. Anyway, what happened next is unbelievable. She decided to use two cards instead of one, Maze and Illusion. So after she uses Maze and Illusion, so that makes it 35 on the list. So long story short, back with Lee, who just made it inside of the exhibit earlier, now here comes the problem. He couldn't find Sakura and Yue anywhere, and he's getting worried that he'll never reach them in time. Back with Sakura and Yue, they have a hunch that whoever is doing this has a stronger power, and it's coming from nearby. So even though Yue agrees with Sakura that the presence is getting stronger, so now all she has to do is find out where it's coming from. So, with no time to lose, Sakura rushes off first because she now knows where that power source is coming from, and of course Yue flies to catch up with her. Meanwhile, back with Sakura, who's still running to find the power source, in the meantime, Yue just couldn't find her anywhere. So as Sakura runs through the door, she pulls back the curtain. And there she sees it, someone standing with a sun staff in his hand. But then, as soon as the stranger turns around, that's when Sakura should have known. It was Eli. Meanwhile, back with Lee, well, good news, he found Yue. But now he and Yue are trying to find Sakura. But the problem is, they had no idea where she is. So with no time to lose, both Yue and Lee are going to find Sakura. So back with Sakura, face to face with Eli, she asked, what are you doing here? But before Eli can answer her, the powerful sun staff just puts her into a trance, and then she's asking, why, Eli, why? And then she passed right out. Luckily for Eli, he catches her. So yes, it is true, it was Eli. So he was asking Sakura, so you knew it was me, right? Then Eli says, I must admit it, using illusion and maze at the exact same time is very impressive. Then Eli also says, you have managed the cards well. You're getting closer to seeking the answers that you want, but you must be patient. So long story short, back with Yue and Lee, who saw Sakura's star cards flying past them, and so they ran after them. Now, don't ask me how Lee and Yue had managed to get Sakura outside, but meanwhile there, when Sakura woke up, she was outside, leaning against a tree. And then she sees Lee, who asked her if she was okay. Well, good news, she's fine. But now Yue wants to know what happened. So she explained everything that was going on inside of the exhibit. All she can remember was someone with a sun staff standing there before she blacked out. Well, neither Yue, Lee, and Sakura knew that someone was watching them, and that someone were Eli and Ruby, and they're up in a tree. So Ruby went first to plead her case by asking a question if he was sure of what he wanted, since Julian knew the secret anyway, and Yue had to take Sakura's brother's powers. In response, that's when Eli has his turn to plead his case to tell Ruby that he's sure. So good news, now that Sakura's back on her feet again, it's now time for everyone to leave. Before heading off, Julian wanted to know from Sakura if she's sure that he won't be taking her home. Well, Sakura not only told Julian that she's sure, and that Lee and Madison will be taking her. Before Sakura and Madison and Lee can leave, that's when Sakura assures Julian that she's going to be fine. and to thank him for taking her and for everything that he did for her. Well, take care, Julian said. We will, Sakura said. And so after that, Lee, Madison, and Sakura head off. So back with Madison, Lee, and Sakura, who had just left the high school grounds, they were walking on the bridge to Penguin Park. So Madison asked her a question. So let me get this straight. You had transformed two cards at once, and they're now star cards? So not only that Sakura said that she did, but Madison wanted to know, you're not hurt or anything, are you? So Sakura said no, and that thanks to Lee, he finally found her. So Madison has her turn to plead her case, and she's not kidding when she said it. She says, you're just lucky that Lee and Yue had protected you when they did. So after the three of them had arrived at Penguin Park, Sakura happens to agree with Madison with what she said. Plus, as Madison said, that since her house is not far away, she should be okay walking on her own, and so she heads off. So after Madison heads off, that's when Sakura had thanked Lee for all of his help and everything that he did for her. At first, Sakura sensed that there was something off with him, so she asked what was going on. So, at first Lee was going to say something to her, but then he suggested to walk Sakura home, and Sakura agrees. So after Sakura thanked Lee when he suggested to walk her home, she says, there's something I need to talk to you about. What about? Lee asked. Let's go to the Penguin Park and I'll tell you about it, Sakura suggested, and so that's what they did. So meanwhile at Penguin Park, well, both Lee and Sakura are on the swings. Then Sakura was first to ask him a question. Do you know how Julian was tired all the time? Yes, I do, Lee says. And do you remember since recently when we were at Eli's house that they were shooting a movie there? Then Sakura explains how Julian almost fell to the ground when he fell off the balcony when he fell asleep. Well, Lee not only said that he does remember that incident, then Sakura just let slip of what happened next. She said that while Julian and Tori were in the bedroom at Eli's house, that's when Julian was confronted by her brother, Tori, to reveal his other self, Yue. So that led to the result of Yue taking Tori's powers. And now, according to what Sakura said, her brother can't sense anything anymore. But, at least according to Sakura, there's some good news. Yue and Julian are now back to normal thanks to Sakura's brother saving them both. Sakura also told Lee that she hopes that her brother gets better and soon. So Lee has his turn to plead his case that first of all, he was happy to hear the good news that Yue is okay, and they're going to need him more than ever. Second of all, there's some bad news, because neither he nor Sakura have found out what was going on and who's causing all these disturbances, but still they have to find out one way or another. Then Sakura has her turn to plead her case to say it's her fault that her brother Tori doesn't have his powers anymore. Then also says in her case, if only she had transformed the card sooner, then perhaps Julian and Yue would have been saved by her. Then Lee has his turn to plead his case to Sakura to make her feel better. He says that you did all you could do. Though true, in Sakura's case, according to what Lee said, that it's going to take a lot out of her to transform them all. So even though Sakura agrees with Lee but didn't please her case, there's so many few of the cards left for her to transform. Since now in Sakura's case, she has 35 star cards so far. Then she asked Lee a question. If he had wondered what would happen if Sakura does transform all of them. So what happens then is anybody's guess. So that ends episode 20.